Welcome, Business Geeks, to the Business Geeks podcast. I'm your host, Super Joe Pardo, and I have two wonderful co-hosts here with me. We got Jennifer Crawford of Sparent.co, as well as Samantha Riley from SamanthaRiley.global. And of course, you can get it at me at SuperJoePardo.com. Samantha, how are you feeling today? How's your day going so far?
My day is very much just starting. Lucky we don't have smell-o-vision because I skipped the shower to be here on time.
Good to know.
I smell like roses anyway. I'm just saying. But thanks for asking, Joe.
You are so welcome. You're so welcome. Good morning, by the way, all the way down in Sydney, Australia. Good. Jennifer, how are you feeling today?
I am feeling great. Even better to be spending some time with both of you as well as Tim Possible in the chat. Thank you, Tim, for joining us again. We love friends. I can't complain. This day has flown by, though, and I feel like I slid into the seat by the skin of my pants. But I'm so glad that I did. I mean,
but you're here. We're all here. And Joe, can I just say how fine and dapper you are looking today?
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, it's almost Christmas time, if you didn't know. And
we need to deliver a seizure warning.
Yes.
Responsible broadcasters.
It probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Wouldn't be the worst thing to talk about. Speaking of the worst thing to talk about, we have a whole bunch of topics to get into today, including how T-Mobile has screwed up. I got lots and lots and lots of dead trees here. And Sam, you had something you wanted to bring up before we jumped into our rapid fire topic. So please take the floor.
Please. Can everyone just send some prayers to our friends over in the Philippines? All my team is in the Philippines. Super Typhoon Ray, we call it Super Typhoon Ray. They're calling it Super Typhoon Odette, has hit, and it has hit like a freight train. And I haven't heard from my team yet. I know that you haven't heard from some of your team yet, Jen. So just sending prayers and hoping that everyone's okay. That's what I wanted to share.
I actually hadn't heard about that yet, and I need to reach out to one of our team members that's in the Philippines now that I'm thinking about it. So hopefully everything is going to be okay for a majority, if not all of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So scary.
Yeah.
It is, and to bring to not to be able to bring the show to a high note just yet. I figured this was a good transition to talk about what happened the other day with all the tornadoes that happened in the Midwest. Apparently, there's the story that went out about factory workers threatened with firing if they left before tornado, and at least at the time of this article, which was back on the 13th, updated on the 14th, 8 of them lost their lives over at Mayfield Consumer Products candle factory because candles are a life and death situation, apparently.
This makes me so angry.
Disgusting.
I just how does this happen? To me, it makes no sense. I actually really struggle with the words for something like this. This is like people's lives, like that's the number one thing, and then the other things come after that. Like candles, really? It makes no sense.
It's profit before people at Amazon, obviously, instead of the other way around. I feel like this should be the level of a criminal charge, in my opinion, because it is so neglectful. It's egregious to expect people to work when their lives are in danger. And with that said, if you are working for somebody and they expect you to stay in the midst of a tornado, please leave. I mean, please feel that you have agency over your life, despite your job. They may seem like overlords, but ultimately you need to take care of you and your family. And although it seems like you need a job to do that, you need your life more.
Mm.
But I'm not, I don't want to victim blame at all. But I just am so saddened by this outcome. That was so unavoidable. I mean, so avoidable.
Mm.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I think it's important to don't be that if you're in that position to make those decisions about whether or not something is safe or unsafe or potentially safe or unsafe. I mean, with tornadoes, I kind of get it because you're like, you don't know quite where they're going to be. So you're like, oh, do we leave? Do we not leave? Unlike a hurricane where it's like, once it gets to a certain point, it's like, okay, we know this is coming. It's not like a matter of if, it's when, right? So I on a very small spot, I get the let's not be quote over like abundant of caution, but you have to stop and think, do you want to be that guy? Do you want to be that girl that somebody ended up dying because you made the decision? You made that call to say, yeah, no, I clearly, there, according to this article, as many as 15 workers beseeched, that's a word you don't see very often, beseeched managers to let them take shelter at their own homes, only to have their requests be rebuffed, according to the workers. So 15 people said, hey, listen, we need to, like, I want to go. I want to be safe. At the worst case, I want to be with my families. And these managers, maybe even ownership said, no, you'll just be fired. You'll be let go because candles come first.
I heard a little bit about what you said there, Joe, but how many times a year does this happen? It's not like it happens every day. Like, you have to err on the side
tornadoes
of,
do. So tornadoes happen quite often.
365 days of the
Well,
year.
no, and not to the level that was going to happen. Like, they knew that this was going to be a thing. Like, that this was a really, really bad, wide-ranging storm that was coming through. But tornadoes do tend to happen in the Midwest. I mean, we have Tornado Alley. It's called that for a reason.
But they obviously knew, right? If there was 15 people, so they knew. At that point, you have to err on the side of caution.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%. And that's why it's so infuriating to put to that of like, oh yeah, no, you guys can't leave because candles are far more important than like being home. Because like at a certain point, it's like, look, we run a factory. If we run a factory, I don't know if it's a 24-hour factory there. I don't know the situation at all, right? But to me, you come in, like, okay, we're going to be safe through the storm, and then we come back in and we do everything we can to get caught back up. And if it's not, well, we have the magic answer of supply chain issues. Everybody uses it, even in cases where people aren't necessarily having their life being threatened by tornadoes or in typhoons or hurricanes or anything else like that. So, it's absolutely infuriating that happened, and it's devastating to all the people and the families of the people that have lost their lives from not just from this situation, not just from the factory situation, but as a whole is absolutely horrible. I mean, the destruction that was there. Unreal.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not the first time Amazon has been under scrutiny for the treatment of its workforce. So
this wasn't Amazon though, was it?
What was it?
Mayfield Consumer Products Candle Factory.
Oh, okay. Sorry. For some reason, I thought it was. I don't know why.
I think Joe did mention Amazon for something else.
Okay. Well,
so you're not losing your mind there.
Okay, I haven't completely lost the plot. So I will just say this is not uncommon in factory situations where employees are not considered. Their health and welfare are not considered. Only output and profit is considered. This is a devastating result of that type of culture, unfortunately. But people wonder, why are we in the middle of a great resignation? Well, we have an obliterated factory and 8 people dead to show you why. Like a disregard for humanity in the workplace.
Firstly, sending so much love to all of those families, especially like it's sad at any time, but to happen right before Christmas, this is just devastating.
Oh,
But second, as entrepreneurs, this is something that we can really make sure that we bring into our culture. And I think that that's why we're bringing up these topics to say we can do something about it. And we might feel like we've just got these little businesses, but we're still affecting people's lives. So I think that it is worth talking about these topics. And I'm really glad that you brought this one up, Joe, because we need to keep this top of mind. What are the culture that we're trying to create in our business, and really to not be that guy or not to be that girl?
Ding ding. Absolutely. And that's exactly why I bring these things up as a reminder to people that are, that put themselves into those positions of power, to, remember that we are all human. And again, out of an abundance of caution, it doesn't hurt to have some compassion and be like, maybe we get it wrong. I don't know, right? We don't know until after it happens. But wouldn't it have been so much better to see this and say, wow, I'm glad nobody was there and nobody died,
Yeah,
because I
totally.
wouldn't want to be in that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, there you go, Lou. Good to see you
So
in the
good to see
comments,
you,
Lou.
Lou.
keep those hashtags coming.
Yeah, love Lou's
Yes.
hashtags.
Mhm.
So that's that. Now the next story I wanted to bring up. Now, something I always talk about in my videos is I always talk about the power of faces and how important, like on social media, like you see it in the grids on Instagram, and you see it on the face, on the websites, how important seeing people's faces are. And when you see it in the grid, it's almost like you'll see pictures with people's faces, and then you'll see pictures without people's faces in the same grid, and the engagement is usually much greater when there's people in the picture, when there's faces to be self-identified with. And so I always say this, and one person in my comments, brought up, if I have to hear him say, oh, I love seeing faces on the website, it says Instagram or on social media, I'm going to lose my mind if I had to hear him say that one more time. Well, the point being is hey, it worked. So ding, ding, you memorized something. I drilled it into your brain that it is that important. But I was watching a YouTube video from Think Media, who does all stuff about like building a YouTube channel. And they did a video, and I thought this was like a recent thing. Apparently Netflix did the whole, like they put the whole game out there, and I guess nobody really noticed. They wrote an article all about the power of a picture. And it goes in depth into explaining that, like, I mean, there's a whole breakdown in it. It's not even that long of an article, but basically the ones that had emotions, people's faces, did for thumbnails, that is, do so much better on their platform over just not, having faces. And yeah, so they like go into showing like all the different thumbnails and how their selection. So it's not just Joe having making a decision. See, imagery is a powerful thing. It has the ability to move people in so many different ways. Over the last few years, we have worked hard to learn how a winning combination of technology and creative helps members discover stories they will enjoy faster and ultimately have a better Netflix experience. And you can even see it. Like, here's the season 1, right? Orange is the New Black. So then they zoomed in with more emotion, right? And then they zoom in a little bit more. She becomes more of the frame. And I've seen it with my own thumbnails on my channel. Like having my face actually was a deterrent for people to click on it. As soon as I took my face off my thumbnails, more people clicked on them, right? But it was still filled with a face from Shark Tank with the classic Shark Tank background and all that. So and the click-through rate went up. So it's not just me, yammering on about faces being important. It's faces are important, and like here's a multi-billion-dollar international company that is basically saying the whole thing 5 years ago, with data to back it up.
Totally.
Not arguing.
No, hit.
Oh, I was
hit
supposed
it
to.
on the head.
We're not supposed to argue. I get it. Faces. People trust faces. They want to see faces. I have a face. I like other faces.
Mm-hmm. It's what did Louis say? Be human. That's
Be
what it's all
human.
about,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
It's about
Yes.
connection. About connection. Yeah.
It does. It enables people to self-identify and put themselves in that story, right? That they can help see what's going on. And the face has, I forget how many like million, like was it not millions, but thousands of muscles in our face or something to that effect.
It's
Hundreds
huge.
of thousands.
Yeah.
It's a
lot.
big number that, and every little muscle like plays a different part in being able to tell that story, right? A picture's worth 1,000 words. And yeah, you don't always need faces. In fact, there are instances where when I always say like I like seeing faces, there's Instagram grids where there's pictures that have no faces that do better than others, but it depends on the context in which that, Instagram account is. If it's a food one, having a face might not be as powerful as having a really great looking dish, like, well prepared looking dish there, plated dish, I should say. So, there's nuance to it, but I would say by and large, like, you're going to get more engagement, you're going to get more attention by doing the things of like putting people's faces where they're supposed to be, and this backs that up.
Absolutely.
Unless your audience is face blind. You have a podcast for people who are face blind.
Is
It's a
face
thing.
blind? I was just about to say, is it a thing? Is it actually a
thing.
thing?
That is a thing.
I've not heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Prosopagnosia. I don't know if I'm.
What, they can't recognize or distinguish between different faces? Is
Yeah,
that
not
what
only
it is?
that, but it's more common than you think. And I think they think that there's almost like a spectrum, that, there are people that just don't recognize faces, but then there's also a surprising number of people that have some degree of prosopagnosia, where they have a problem with facial recognition.
Wow.
Mm.
There you go. I feel like
Cool.
I've learned so much already this
I don't
morning.
know how that plays into this, the marketing theory behind faces, but I find it's interesting. And I also wonder if there is a type of face that garners more reaction. Like, do you have to be classically beautiful? Do you have to have an extreme expression or emotion? Does it depend on the person? Like, there's probably even more to. I don't know. It's very interesting, Joe. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem at all. I don't know. I don't know if face blind would play into it because it's still a face, but like recognizing somebody's face would be one thing. You see, somebody I used to play hockey with, they had like this big beard, like their whole face was like covered in a beard, down to like here, right? And they had a newborn or like a really young, like sub 1-year-old, and the 1-year-old didn't recognize him when he finally shaved off the whole beard. Was like scared of him as if he was somebody completely different, which is, I think, kind of odd because like the other senses should play into that, the smell, the sounds of the voice, that kind of thing. I would think would play in even as a 1-year-old, or sub 1-year-old, but apparently not at that time. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, use that knowledge in your marketing as you wish.
Absolutely. Ding, ding. So speaking of marketing and small businesses, there was this article that I found here. Small businesses regain some lost ground as shoppers yearn for, quote, somewhere a little bit different. So finding other things to gift. And I've heard quite a bit of stories of people gifting experiences for this Christmas rather than for things, because like getting things is kind of a little hard to do. It's good to see you in the chat there, Chi. I hope you're doing well. Happy holidays, man. It's been a while. So this article talks about them, people going and finding those other things. In fact, this is, however, Black Friday this year, the homemade candle business had its best selling day in a nearly 30-year history heading into the holiday season. The store now has 6 staff members. Sales are up by as much as 16% compared to a year ago, and foot traffic is back.
Yay.
So yeah, right. Ding ding for that.
Totally.
I think it's almost interesting to look at that and say, what other supply chain issues will be created because, like, oh, we didn't have a candle problem. All of a sudden there's a candle problem, or, a candle, I don't, kind of based on our earlier talks of the factory and everything, there might actually be a candle problem in here. But, all those things play a part in the overall supply chain of how everything comes together. And I guess my hope is that these small businesses that are experiencing this great resurgence are able to meet the demand. They're able to maybe get those employees that they wouldn't have necessarily had, which is, according to everybody in the media, is almost impossible to find anybody at the rate that they want to pay. We'll just,
Yeah, I know that they're having troubles in Australia in some like service kind of industries. They're having trouble getting staff, but I think it's a really interesting time, and it's going to be interesting for quite a few months yet, because the Great Resignation, I believe, I don't know this for a fact, but I believe won't really hit its kind of crescendo until March 2022.
And what I personally haven't heard that. What, any light you could shed on that? The March 2022 part specifically.
Yeah, I don't know why it's then. I think it was talking about the fact that people are holding down their jobs as like to make sure that they've got it through the holiday season, make sure they're all good, and they're sort of coming back, off the back of their vacations and going, we're done.
Yeah. Well, and also the people that are still working in places where a lot of people have made an exodus are taking on the brunt of that extra work. And I think they are probably going to be hitting that period where they're really burnt out, and they're also looking at their former coworkers, seeing what they're doing, and maybe being even more tempted to leave and go out on their own. I read a statistic recently that was provided by a LinkedIn study that was looking at what people were doing that did leave their careers or their jobs. What were they actually doing? And a tremendous number of them were starting businesses. So they're going out on their own and, going the entrepreneurial route, which I think I loved actually personally to hear that, because I think more people should consider starting a business than actually do. And at this time when people are leaving because they're realizing they want more meaning in the work that they do, and they want to be more fulfilled, and they want more balance. I love that they have made these choices for themselves. And I think other people are seeing that, and it's a little contagious. So I agree with you, Sam. I don't think we've hit the crescendo of the Great Resignation. I think there's going to be a restructuring in every level of the workspace from corporate down. There's going to be a restructuring.
Interestingly, I did read an article where it interviewed 2 people that over the last 12 months where they have left their jobs. And I think one of them might have been a teacher, and another one was in some corporate position where they were expected to do a lot of hours. And the article was basically them being interviewed, are you glad you made the move? What was interesting about it is one of them was very glad she made the move, and the other one said, maybe the grass was actually greener on the other side, and I think I've made a big mistake. So it was very interesting reading that article, and it did go into depth around how much money they were earning, how much that impacted their super, which I think is 401k over there, like the money that they retire with.
Yeah.
You know, the other implications that some people haven't thought of. So it was a very interesting article, but I don't have it to share because I didn't know we were talking about this.
Yeah.
That's that's the point. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say, Jen?
I think it's fine. I didn't have my LinkedIn study at the, in my browser, so I was just going by memory. But
Yeah.
Sorry, I like keeping both of you on your toes and unprepared.
Don't
So-
you just?
I do, because you get more of I don't know, genuine opinion off the cuff, off the top of your head, and from what you know, and to challenge you to remember things going forward. So that
Gosh,
you can be
now
prepared
everything
for
I read this week,
everything.
you're going to be like, just in case, we have to remember the details.
It'll be on the test. It's going to be on the test, Sam.
I'm bad at tests. That's why I left school. I'm just like, I'm done with this.
So I know Apple said that they are moving indefinitely to remote work, and are giving each employee like $1,000 or something. I don't know, if just as a thanks for for pushing us in this direction, or to be able to continue to afford some of the amenities that is needed as a at home employee. But it's good to see, because I know they were pushing pretty hard to get people back into the office, and then they've caved, and maybe some other companies will start to cave, and then they'll start to cycle around, at least in the big Fortune 500 companies at the very least. But what was I gonna say? I forget where I was. I forget my point. So, Jen, you started talking, and I lost my where I was gonna go with it. But I'm excited to see that there's other opportunities for gift giving that are being considered, and I think we need, as a culture, I think we could use more of it. And there was a point. So I think something to the effect of, maybe one of you, I don't know, maybe Jen, you've seen this, or Sam, maybe down in Australia, but they were talking about like foot traffic on Black Friday being down like a significant percentage, like, I don't know, like 15% or something to that effect, right? Over 2019. Then but internet traffic was only up like a couple of percent points, which leads me to think like, well, if people didn't go out and they didn't order more online, then they had to go somewhere, and the place you wouldn't be able to account for would probably be places like this candle shop and things of that nature, where it's not as I guess easy for them to track like the Best Buys, Walmarts, and Targets of the world.
I think that it's such a detailed topic, though, because you're not really taking into account, like we've had this whole, through the pandemic, this shift of how we think, and maybe we don't want to purchase stuff that we may have purchased before because we've realized it's not really that important. I actually bought 0 on Black Friday this year for the first time ever, because I was just like, I don't need anything.
I don't need anything. Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
need
thinking
anything.
the same thing. I was thinking the same thing, Sam, that we have enough stuff, and I think people are realizing that it's not things that are making them happy. It's people they surround themselves with and their life experiences. So, I personally, it's like, what do I need? Like, I don't need anything. I think that can account for a lot of it. I think we've all just realigned what our values and what is important with us in life, and it has affected our spending habits.
Yeah. We really are starting to truly understand what's important to us.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
I totally agree. Somebody asked about this on Facebook, about like, what lessons have you taken away from the last like 2 years, and or like what things is different for you now. And one of the things that I wrote was making sure that I make time to go and do things like with friends, family, as well as like live events or concerts or things that like, you never know when the last one might be, for this band or that band or this event, and really not taking it so for granted, where it's like I take it for granted, like, it's no big deal, I'll just do it next year. Well, next year could be the next 2020. It could be the next, God forbid, it'll be next 2020, and
Totally.
it won't just be there. So like, regardless of the health or status of said group, band, event, or whatever, you just don't know what's it's going to bring, and I think it helped put things into a little more into perspective for me from how I spend my time and doing things like that.
Totally.
So before I get to my T-Mobile mess here, that is this that I have in my hands. I'm not sure how to say it. Fasal says, can you talk about your family's $100 million business? You mentioned in a previous video what your business you do run now. I was thinking about this. I think I'm gonna do a separate live stream just for that, talking like AMA, like backstory kind of thing, especially because I have so many people coming into the channel and they don't know, and I don't have like a book about that stuff I have a book here, but I don't have like a book about it on my about page anymore. It's much more concise to just what I do now and all that. So I will definitely look at doing one maybe next week at this point, because I'm kind of backed up for the rest of this week, but I appreciate you asking, and I look forward to doing that. So I'll get it on the schedule, and hopefully people can jump in. Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah, thanks for being curious.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a great story.
Thanks for listening. That I'm ever so grateful for. So T-Mobile. T-Mobile. I know.
We are on the
Somebody
edge of
was
our
on-
seats.
Somebody
So-
was talking to customer service again.
No. I forgot about that. It's been a little. No, actually, it hasn't been that long since I've talked to a customer service agent at some company.
If you had have said that, Jen and I would not have believed you, would we, Jen?
No, we would not. This is a problem.
It is. So I guess this was like a month ago. I get this, and I don't want the address, to show. I mean, not that the video quality is super great on Restream, but they sent me from T-Mobile Business. It's important information enclosed, right? And this is addressed to Chrissy Steed, and it says, "Get your new iPhone 13 Pro on us." But they didn't send one, and they didn't just send it to Chrissy Steed at 234 Solutions at my address in New Jersey. They sent one to several people, all to the same address, all care of 234 Solutions, which is the name of the LLC, my LLC, including Jeff Barnes, Dr. Jeff Barnes, I should say Dr. Jeff Barnes, Andrew Camaro, Lee Caraher, Keith Callahan, and Hamilton Perkins. These are all people that have been on my podcast.
That's
Today I get even more. I think this stack it has Chrissy Steed again, Jeffrey Barnes, Andrew Camaro, Lee Caraher, Keith Callahan, and Hamilton. Oh, it's the same ones. But why T-Mobile? Who is doing this research? Who do you have doing this? And whoever you have should probably do something else. I'm not saying anything to be fired. I'm just saying they should be doing something else, because these are people that have been on my podcast, not somebody who works for me.
That's very strange.
Yeah.
And RIP to all those trees.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna recycle this, but that's assuming recycling actually gets to the recycling plant and actually gets recycled, and et cetera, et cetera.
Which I believe most of it does not.
There's a good chunk of it that does not. There's a whole video that just came out about that not too long ago. I think like a Vice video or something on YouTube. 3 interns in a basement. Oh, poor
There you
intern.
go. The poor interns, but probably
Get
true.
somebody should tag. Where's Lou at? He should be tagging tag T-Mobile for business on this. But I just feel bad. Like, why do I need all? Like, this is a ridiculous amount, all sent to the same address to the same business with people who are not who don't work for me.
I
Gosh,
just
imagine if-
how it happened.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
yeah.
And is it happening to every podcast host? Are they getting those for all of their guests? It's very strange.
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get one for Sam and Jen at my house at some point too.
Unless somebody's playing a practical joke on you, you know how like you used to send pizza to people and didn't order it. Like if somebody put you like do this to as a joke.
It just reminds me of like the AOL discs, free internet discs that you would get, and somebody just was like, by the way, there's a really interesting story behind those discs if you've never heard it. The person who came up with that principle, did we talk about this on the show before?
No.
I believe it was a female who the previous gig she had was the Corduroy Bear books, where they used to send. Did they have these in? They had them down in Australia, right? The Corduroy books, like the brown bear was wearing like overalls, who would like pull buttons to like replace his button or something like that.
Oh, not that I know of, but
it was a big book back when I was a kid. So, and I think it was like around that time. So, yeah, they hired that lady because they were like, well, this book, was widespread everywhere because they like basically send it out as part of like a book club or highlight. I think it was part of Highlights, like the magazine Highlights. And yeah, so they hired her, and her answer was just print all the discs and send this everywhere for free internet. Now they're all in the landfill.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah. At least the books were books, and had some, even if it was a marketing ploy, it had some, I mean, I remember the Corduroy books, but anyway, that's what's grinding my gears. Is the T-Mobile needs to get their act together, and she says yes. Yes, I get business outreach from my prior guests all as well.
That's so odd.
So odd.
I've never had that. Mind you, no one's ever sent me a pizza before either. Anyone that's listening, feel free to prank me. Feel free to send me pizza. I'll be okay with that.
Get good pizza down in Sydney. Come on.
Yeah, I will accept the pizza.
Yeah, I never understood that prank. Like,
it's not a prank.
Yeah, you can feed it. It's okay.
Yeah, send the pizza.
Yeah, but if you have to pay for the pizza when it gets there, it's like $30 for a pizza
different.
now.
Yeah.
They're not buying that. Well, that's the whole thing. You're sending the pizza, so the person's on the hook for paying for the pizza.
I don't think you can do that now. I think you
because you have to pay
first.
for it in advance. Yeah.
I think I could still pay cash. Even the ones I order online, I'm pretty sure I could still pay cash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't.
The ones I order, at least,
okay.
they there's not like 90% sure cash is still an option.
Okay,
there you go.
Yeah. You're gonna get.
Well, don't you send me pizza, Joe? But Jen, you can send me pizza.
Oh well, all right.
Well, yeah. So that wraps up all the topics that I have for this week. Did either of you have any was it Take My Lunch Money or One Cool Thing that came up this past week?
I do not. But Jen's got something brewing. I can feel it.
Well, I became aware of a company that I think has a brilliant idea. I just have not done business with them, but I did get on their mailing list. And it's a subscription box called Apples and Pears. And I think this is brilliant. You guys can tell me what you think. So it's a clothing subscription box, and they market to women specifically who are on a weight loss journey. So who are in the process of losing weight. And so they don't want to commit to buying clothes because they're going to be at a certain size for a short period of time, but they need to clothe themselves as they're going down in size. But they don't want to spend the money on clothing that they're not going to, it's not going to fit them for much longer. So, thanks for bringing that up, Joe. And I thought this was such a great idea because I am a self-described weight fluctuator. I can tell, I'm a different weight every year. And I have clothes of every size in my closet. And it is so frustrating to not have clothes that fit your body. And it also is frustrating to have to buy brand new clothes when you are, losing weight and going through the stages of weight loss. So I thought this is so brilliant. And it's ridiculously affordable, I think. You can get new clothes that fit you, clothes that are fashionable. And they also have done a really great job of fostering a community that cheerleads each other and shares their wins and their weight loss tips and cooking and recipes. And I just thought it was a subscription box that I thought really answered a specific need that I didn't see anyone else addressing. So
This is absolute gold, Jen. This
yeah,
is so good. It's only $49 a month.
yeah, it's really cheap. Yeah, and
Wow.
you can purchase anything in the box for one price. It's $20 if you.
$20.
That's it for anything, which I thought was really reasonable. So if you get something and you love it, and some clothing like will fit you at various stages of your weight. I've got like my magic shirts that fit me no matter what. And so, I love that you have the option to keep something, but you can also just keep, switching out and have fresh clothes to wear as your body is changing. So
This
smart.
is so good because people that are on a weight loss journey, very often they will hold off buying clothes and they don't feel good about themselves, even though they're going through this weight loss journey, because their clothes are just like, hanging off them or don't fit properly. They're uncomfortable. They don't feel confident. This is so, so good. How has
Yeah.
anyone not thought of this before?
I
It's just like,
know.
it makes so much sense.
And I love this culture, and it's not. It's so the opposite of body shaming. They're like, celebrate your body at like any size, like whatever size you want it to be. Like you deserve to wear clothes that flatter your shape and that you feel good about you, no matter what size you are. But if you happen to be losing weight because you want to lose weight, then we've got an answer for you. So good. I
Yeah,
want to
this is
support
great.
them, and so I'm glad I got an opportunity to talk about them because I thought just brilliant business.
Thanks for bringing this one up, Jen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. My only question is when it says 4 items, are we talking about like 2 tops and 2 bottoms, or because I feel like that wouldn't be enough for you to get through? Like we don't lose weight fast enough. Like we don't lose weight fast enough for it to be like, okay, at least I can like cycle. If it was like 4 outfits, I could cycle 4 outfits. Maybe I have 1 or 2 that kind of fill in between, and on the weekends I just wear, my whatevers around. And I don't know. I feel like it's not. I just feel like it wouldn't be enough.
I see what you're saying, but I think what happens is you end up like sort of building up your wardrobe, and they're not giving you a whole wardrobe for $49, but it's supplementing pieces you already have and making sure that those moments when you need something to wear, maybe you have an event or someplace to go, you've got something that fits. A lot of us are working from home, so like I don't wear pants on. Most days I don't have hard pants on, but like when I do want to go somewhere, I want something that fits me, that is flattering, that I can feel confident in. So I think it can definitely fill in those gaps.
I guess tops would make more sense anyway, because like you could just put a belt on.
Yeah, you could change up the look. They send you a pair of pants and 3 tops. You can make that look any number of ways. So
yeah. True.
And generally, jackets
definitely
still fit. You can make the jacket still work. I think it's a supplementation.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. Ding dang. Great job.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well
Love
done,
it. Love
Jen.
it. Yeah, that's awesome. And I love seeing faces, so we're seeing
Yeah, lots of
got all
beautiful faces there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So no, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing there, Jen. Yeah, so I guess that pretty much wraps up the Business Geeks for this week. We didn't get as many questions as I was hoping for in the chat. I forgot to ask at the beginning of the name of the video was answering your toughest business questions, but it's okay. It's okay. We got next week. So make sure you bring your questions to the chat next week, or you can send them at questions@businessgeekspodcast.com. We'll be back next Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Time on Friday, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Time. So you can join us here live or watch the live stream. Get us over at businessgeekspodcast.com. And you can also subscribe to the podcast. Shout out to your podcast concierge.com. For all your podcast concierge needs of getting it edited. We don't edit here. It's awesome. I hit the button a little too soon. Anyway, I hope you all have an amazing week. We will be back next Thursday. Take care, everyone.